Former NFL player accused of going missing after his mother's murder has been arrested. Investigators took Sergio Brown into custody in San Diego on a felony fugitive arrest warrant.
Well, hello there, and welcome to my channel where I research strange occurrences, true crime, conspiracy theories, etc., and share my findings with you. Editing Brooke here, just popping in to say I'm very well aware of the eyelash that's dangling off of my eye for the entirety of this video, and I just want to apologize ahead of time, and, let's get back into the video. If those are the types of things that you're interested in, well, then you've come to the right place. Today's true crime case that we'll be covering is a bit of a shorter one, considering it is still very recent and still developing, but if there's one thing that I enjoy doing here on YouTube, it is shedding light on systematic issues that aren't talked about enough, or issues that just I myself was not educated on and found interesting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into today's case, shall we? Sergio Brown was born on May 22nd, 1988 in Maywood, Illinois, which is a suburb about 12 miles west of Chicago. From very early on, Sergio was pretty much destined to be an athlete, especially considering the fact that his father, Mario Brown, was the first African-American basketball player at Texas A&M in College Station. Unfortunately, his father passed away in 2002 after a tough battle with lung cancer. Like many kids during elementary and middle school, Sergio enjoyed playing on sports teams, but it wasn't until high school where he really started to take things seriously and show his true potential. At Proviso East High School, Sergio was a decent student, but he made sure pretty quickly to join both the school's track and field team as well as the football team. In track and field, he competed in various events such as long and vertical jump, sprints, and varying lengths of dashes. But his true passion was shown when he played wide receiver and defensive back for the Proviso Pirates. It was clear that Sergio was a gifted athlete, and throughout his high school football career, he dreamed of being recruited for college football and then eventually drafted to the NFL. And with his senior stats showing serious pro potential, his dreams weren't so far off. In 2006, Sergio graduated from high school and went off to Notre Dame University, where he eventually became the defensive back by his junior year. Then, in 2010, he became an undrafted free agent for the New England Patriots, which is basically like a runner-up or understudy for those unacquainted with football, much like myself. Over the next 7 years, Sergio would play 94 total games in the NFL with several teams: the Colts, Jaguars, Falcons, and Bills. He was living the dreams of so many, and although his father wasn't able to experience the pride of Sergio reaching these high levels of success, his mother Myrtle was always on the sidelines cheering him on, reminding him that everything was gonna be okay at the end of the day. Myrtle Jean Simmons Brown was described as a beautiful, loving, and inspirational soul that made everyone around her feel like they mattered. Being a widower and thereby a single mother, Myrtle had to take on the role of two for her sons, but she really seemed to do it with grace. Sergio played professionally up until 2016, and after he exited the public eye, I really couldn't find much of what he's been up to since, especially since his Instagram accounts have been deleted very recently. I did some digging and found that he does have a Twitter/X account and was actually posting on it up until October 9th, which is only 3 days ago as of the time that I'm filming this. But even then, it was either auto-generated tweets about astrology, him just saying good morning, or posting various inspirational quotes. Nothing too personal until recently, but we'll circle back around to that. So Sergio is 35 years old now, and he hasn't played pro football in 7 years. He's presumably living a normal life as far as most people are concerned. That is, until mid-September 2023, when Sergio's relatives hadn't heard a peep from him or Myrtle in several days, which was very odd considering the two lived together. The family eventually came over to Myrtle's house in Maywood, only to be met with no response when knocking on the front door. They even tried asking neighbors if they had seen or heard from the two, but there was no luck. Being that she was 73 years old and had never just vanished like this before, her relatives filed a police report for the missing Myrtle on September 16th. Sergio then proceeded to absolutely shock everybody by going on his Finsta account and posting a rant making fun of the police report before publicly telling his family to just keep swimming and laughing like an evil villain.
It's P. Sherman, 42, Wallaby Way, Sydney. Oh my gosh, I can't. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. What the? Missing? They ain't never seen Finding Nemo? What the is going on? This is traumatic. Lucky I know how to say a joke.
Keep in mind at this point that his family has had no contact with him and truly believe that he and Myrtle are missing and potentially in danger. They know nothing of the circumstances revolving around these disappearances. After this police report was made, authorities were quick to put out a search for Myrtle. That very same day, 73-year-old Myrtle Jean Simmons Brown was found in a creek just 100 yards behind her home, deceased. Upon this discovery, the neighbors were pretty shocked considering how many of them described her being a wonderful woman, but also admitted that officers had been called to her home before in the months leading up to her death because Sergio had been acting very erratically. I couldn't find any details on exactly how Sergio had been behaving, especially since everything happened very recently, but as information is released, I'll be sure to leave a pinned comment down below with any updates. The following day after the shocking discovery, Sergio's brother Nick posted a statement on Instagram saying, "It's a sad but hopeful time and we will all get through this together. Mom always told me, tough times don't last, and our last conversation about tough times being temporary is my beacon of hope. Mom, thank you for being strong, caring, diligent, fancy, funny, and for saving my art. I won't let you down." My brother Sergio is still missing. If anyone knows where he is, I want him to know that I love you and please come home. Myrtle's family came together and issued a statement through their lawyer insisting that the Cook County Attorney's Office should thoroughly investigate her death so that none of them had to suffer living in uncertainty. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office ruled Myrtle's death a homicide, noting that she died from assault injuries. Once again, I did not find any further explanation of what exactly that entailed, but I suppose we shall see. I can only imagine what a 207-pound, 6'2" ex-NFL player could potentially do to a small woman in her 70s, and not only that, but his own mother, too. As police continued collecting information on who, what, when, where, and why this tragic murder happened to such an innocent and ordinary woman in their community, they found some pretty damning evidence. A neighbor's Ring doorbell camera captured footage of Sergio taking out the trash around the time that Myrtle was believed to have been killed, and also starting a bonfire in the yard. I would love to know just how many criminal activities have been captured and prosecuted with the help of residential security cameras, because they are literally everywhere nowadays. In decades past, there were serial killers just walking around, strolling into people's homes, and I'm happy to know that these occurrences are fewer and farther between with the help of technology. So now that police have some sort of link between Sergio and his mother's death, where is he? Well, Maywood police caught wind of videos floating around on Instagram of Sergio partying in a tropical-looking location, which turned out to be Tulum, Mexico. In one video, he was partying and smiling with women grinding on him, and in another, he was going on a rant talking about how everything was fake news, and posted that his mom wasn't missing, but was on vacation in Sinaloa.
Fake news. It has to be the FBI. They came into my house on Bob Marley's death day, which was 511 Agent Gas, unwarranted. They kidnapped me twice from home, the Maywood Police Department, right? Chris Football did it twice. Aaron Peppers was there the second time that it happened. It had to be the FBI or the Maywood Police. I thought my mama was on vacation in Sinaloa. That's fake news. Get the f out my goddamn face. She retired. If you want to come to me, the Maywood Police got to give me money. FBI had to do it. They got the power to do something.
With pretty much all evidence pointing towards her son being the perpetrator of Myrtle's death, Maywood police put out a warrant for Sergio's arrest. To this, Mexican law enforcement began the process of deporting Sergio back to the United States. While on an extradition flight from Mexico City to Tijuana, Sergio created a disturbance on the plane, claiming that the police were trying to kidnap him yet again, which led to him getting physical with an officer.
Going to Colombia. I'm from Chicago. I should not be going to Tijuana. Let me go! This is kidnapping!
The captain almost had to have Sergio removed from the plane, but he did eventually make it to Tijuana. Finally, on Tuesday, October 12th, Sergio crossed the border back into San Diego and was promptly arrested on a felony fugitive warrant for murder and fleeing. As of filming, he is booked into the San Diego Central Jail without bond, awaiting the final leg of his extradition back to Illinois. His first hearing is scheduled for November 13th. The Brown family has stated, while that they haven't spoken to him, they are glad that Sergio was returned to the United States unharmed, especially after seeing that video on the flight. If you hadn't noticed already, it seems pretty clear to me, at least in his social media presence and videos posted online, that Sergio may be experiencing some mental health issues. And that sadly isn't completely surprising, considering that traumatic brain injuries are a very serious risk when it comes to anything that involves hitting your head hard and repeatedly, such as, say, a contact sport like football. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a degenerative brain disease of the frontal lobe, which results in violent and impulsive behaviors, memory loss, and suicidal ideation. I'm sure you've heard of other examples of what former NFL players have gone on to commit following repeated head trauma, such as Aaron Hernandez, Jovan Belcher, or Phillip Adams. Whether or not these horrible deaths were the result of CTE, the men just being abusive POSs, or whatever other reason, the taking of these innocent lives were completely needless. Since we've entered fall and everyone loves getting together and watching football, playing the sport, and maybe even hoping to have a shot at making it to the big leagues someday, I think the physical effects of the sport are a serious problem that just aren't talked about enough. First and foremost, CTEs can't be diagnosed until after a person is deceased and their brain has been examined during an autopsy. But out of 376 former NFL players, 345 of them were found to have this preventable disease. Additionally, there are many living players who, while they can't be formally diagnosed yet, are starting to display some telling signs such as dementia-like symptoms or aggression that weren't present before their football career. Every year that a person plays football, their risk of developing this condition increases by 30%. No wonder these players who are in the NFL for several years will almost certainly suffer from this permanent brain damage. I mean, yeah, sure, getting tackled may just seem like an occupational hazard and a risk that you take in order to make millions of dollars, but in my humble opinion, I don't think getting your brains bashed until the point of becoming an aggressive shell of your former self that is capable of hurting your loved ones is worth it. I of course don't think that people are entering into this profession thinking that it's going to happen, but it clearly seems to be a moderately probable risk at this rate. Then again, I'm not a big football or sports girly in general, so maybe it's just easier for me to come to that conclusion. CTEs aside, there have been many lawsuits against the NFL by a ton of former players that have suffered concussion-related injuries. And when I say a ton, I mean so many. Look at this. Like, come on. Yeah, a little more than a moderate risk, I have to say. I believe former players have won at least 2 pretty hefty lawsuits against the NFL, and the NFL has responded by altering some of their rules and introducing new helmet designs to reduce possible head trauma, but ultimately, these things are still likely going to happen in a contact sport like football. Something similar happened with boxing years ago when ex-professionals started coming out in waves talking about how much brain damage they suffered during their careers, and thankfully it was enough to deter a lot of people from wanting to become a boxer or allowing their children to box. It makes me wonder, will something similar happen to football? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject down below in the comments, and as always, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned a thing or two. Once again, this case is developing day by day, so there very well could be some new information out there by the time this video is posted, but I will be sure to keep you updated. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!